Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Look at that, a Kirby game where you jump around and copy abilities. What a concept. But hold on, this actually looks pretty ambitious for this series, and might even be a big step forward for what a lot of people would consider a fun but expendable franchise. The Forgotten Land isn't that different from your standard Kirby outing in its setup or what you'll see, but 3D environments, upgradable copy abilities, and a town that's consistently built from your collectibles ensure this is one of the most substantial adventures in this series. Even so, this is a Kirby game, and if you've played any of them, you'll pretty much know exactly what you're signing up for with this one. In this video, I'm going to lay out what I found to be the best and the worst aspects of this game. Be warned that full spoilers for Kirby and the Forgotten Land are on the table. The best. Number 1, simple fun. While most Kirby games are fun, the Forgotten Land is effortless to have a good time with. Kirby's power copying ability has been given a fantastic new upgrade system, offering a large selection of different play styles. With so many options, the moment-to-moment gameplay has never been so engaging. Levels are bursting with creativity and interesting things to interact with. There's a good amount of content here, including some really inspired challenge areas, easy to understand minigames, and plenty of intense boss fights. The best part of it all is how simple everything is to do. Puzzles, enemies, and abilities aren't very complex, but despite this, the game keeps your attention because of how satisfying it is to play. Smooth design flows throughout the whole experience. Coins are considerately used to guide your path to secrets. Powers are readily available whenever needed, and menus and loading times are convenient and snappy. This is a very well-polished game, and a great example of effective and fun simplicity. Number 2, vibrant visuals. Yeah, no kidding, this game looks beautiful. It's absolutely overflowing with vibrant colors and thoughtfully detailed environments. Lighting is masterful, effectively setting the mood for many stages, with some truly spectacular set pieces bolstered by visual effects that sell the atmosphere even further. Take Winterhorns, by far my favorite area of the game, which utilizes these elements, totally nailing its winter aesthetic. Absolutely gorgeous. Original Wasteland is close behind with an exceptional use of color, hosting a variety of different tones, drawing you into its world. And I'm certainly calling out Burning Churning Power Plant for its breathtaking opening shot. Good God, what an impression. This game rocks the cute yet striking art style it's going for, making for one of the most visually enchanting Kirby games I've ever seen. Number 3, imaginative levels. Something that really stood out to me is how original a lot of these level concepts are for a Kirby game. Each world is still a typical theme, beach, snow, and so on, but a lot of individual stages feel authentic, using their overarching area theme in a novel way. The aforementioned Burning Churning Power Plant is a good example. A power plant running on lava isn't something I've seen a lot, combining a volcano and factory theme together, creating a dangerous level packed with hazards. Winterhorns hosts multiple unique set pieces. It starts with Northeast Frost Street, a serene snow-covered city, moves on to Metro on Ice, an abandoned subway frozen over, and continues to impress with Windy Freezing Seas, a level of partially sunken buildings and raging wind. Every new location's a whimsical spectacle. Shout out to Searching the Oasis. This environment is an appreciated change of pace from the usual desert-themed settings of most 3D platformers. Oh, and Invasion at the House of Horrors? Yeah, this game has a lot worth seeing. Number 4, boss fights. These are some of the most well-balanced, memorable bosses I've seen in a 3D game like this. Plenty of them are littered throughout this game, and they only get more interesting as it goes on. Since Kirby can use so many different powers now, battles are designed with consideration for whatever you might be using. Some copy abilities are more suited to certain fights than others, but all powers are effective enough so you can use what you want without being punished for it. The no damage challenges in particular showcase how well these combat mechanics work together. But by far my favorite thing about these fights is that you can play them as proactively as you want. No waiting around through invulnerability phases until a weak point shows up. You can hit them whenever, so there's a risk-reward sense of action to them, making these far more exciting battles than the patterned wait for your turn dodge fests many similar games employ. And while some of these fights might end in under a minute because of that, they're more enjoyable because they actually feel like battles. Sneaking in attacks whenever possible is empowering, and it rewards staying focused and engaged. Yeah, there's no doubt in my mind how much these bosses add to this game. Number 5, warm feelings. One of the most special elements of the Kirby franchise, and one particularly present in the Forgotten Land, is a sense of comforting, wholesome warmth. Charm is everywhere in this game, even down to the traditional end-of-level celebration dance. Leading lost ducklings to their mother only to be rewarded with baby bottles? You gotta be kidding me, it's so cute. Kirby has his own adorable house in town with pictures and figures of his adventures. Even sleeping in his bed is precious. Bombs go into their own inner tubes when they fall into the water. Even Kirby waving as you travel through a level couldn't be more touching, making me smile every time. Totally waved back. This is one of the most heartwarming games I've played in a long time, leaving me with a lingering feeling of happiness whenever I'd stop playing. Also worth mentioning, the ending is straight up insane nonsense, and in being that, is cool as hell. So if it's not clear by now, this game has a lot worth admiring. In fact, I wouldn't say it has any glaring issues, but this is the best and worst. So buckle up, I'm about to nitpick the hell out of it. The worst. Number 1, timers. I've never been a fan of timed challenges. I get little satisfaction from doing something as quickly as possible, but more importantly, I like to go at my own pace when playing games. Even if it isn't demanding, the mere presence of a timer adds a dynamic to the situation that only reduces my enjoyment of it. The treasure roads are what I'm talking about. These are enjoyable, contained challenges themed around a specific copy ability or mouthful mode. They're great for becoming more familiar with what abilities are capable of. And while often easy, they're well-designed challenges. And they'd be more enjoyable if they weren't timed. It's that simple. They also have target times you can hit for coin bonuses. And while these are optional, they're presented as something you should be aiming for, turning every treasure road into a mad dash to completion as fast as possible. The time limits are pretty strict too. This isn't a huge issue. The target times aren't required for anything beyond some extra cash, but I'd still prefer a more carefree atmosphere during these trials. Number 2, cryptic Waddle Dees. Collecting Waddle Dees is a lot of fun and feels rewarding, especially when figuring something clever out or finding a secret area. Unfortunately, there are a fair amount of cheaply hidden Waddle Dees that only seem included so levels have to be played multiple times. These Waddle Dees are easily missed when playing through stages, asking the player to use a specific copy ability in a fight, or something equally arbitrary like not falling into the water in a battle. There's no way of knowing what these collectibles expect of you ahead of time, so it ends up coming off as padding since you'll often need to replay stages if you want to save them all. It's inelegant to say the least, and turns what would otherwise be interesting challenges into busy work. Ambiguous hidden challenges aren't the only example of the Forgotten Land stretched content. Number 3, post-game padding. Padding gets far worse in the post-game, which is almost completely made up of reused content, and is pretty drawn out. You're basically playing through half of the entire surface space of the game again to collect light balls. Kirby's a lot of fun to play as in this game, so it's not a huge slog to get through, but this is shamelessly stretching changing the game's content to increase playtime. I get it, you want to hit decent playtime numbers these days, but I'm more so disappointed at just how uninspired the post-game is. Though I do appreciate the large amount of exciting, enhanced boss fights that it introduces. Number 4, copy ability disappointments. Of the 2 new powers this game introduces, Ranger and Drill, Drill is a dud. I'm not a fan of how it controls, how briefly you can stay underground, the limited distance for creating circles, or the choice for it to shoot forward in the air instead of directly drilling downward. It's a cumbersome ability overall, and host to some of the more unimpressive upgrades. Though to be fair, this is an issue with quite a few powers, especially Tornado and Ice. Bomb is an outlier in that it arguably becomes less efficient when upgraded. You only get the most out of it with careful bomb placement, but managing this in the heat of battle is often unrealistic, and far more trouble than it's worth. Honestly, with 12 base powers, 2 of which only being brief effects, the copy selection is pretty lacking, and I'm surprised to see the absence of some major classics like Spark, Fighter, and especially Beam. The upgrade system suffers from wasted potential. I thought there'd be a lot more decision making while choosing what to evolve and use your resources on, but the blueprints are evenly spaced throughout the game. So as long as you keep up with Treasure Roads, you can upgrade everything as soon as possible. And aside from the aforementioned bomb power-up, upgrades are basically complete improvements over their previous form, so there's little reason to ever consider using something else. And don't get me wrong, this system works perfectly fine as it is. There's just not much thought to decision making. Number 5, King Dedede's face. What the hell is this? Look, I know the Kirby series dictates how their own characters look, but this Dedede face looks stupid. That's what you want him to look like? Look at him in Super Smash Bros. Fantastic. That's a dapper looking penguin. Why does he look better in Smash Bros. Than he does in his own franchise? He looks weird. Dopey Bozo looks like a toddler waiting to get fed with a spoon. Also, some cutscenes were seemingly designed without sound effects, and I couldn't say why this was done, but man does it make them feel disconnected from the rest of the game. It's particularly noticeable in the intro and mouthful mode cutscenes. Not a big deal, but they're weirdly quiet. And that's Kirby and the Forgotten Land. This game's really easy to relax and have fun with. As you can see, it doesn't have many notable flaws. Not every game needs to be challenging. Sometimes you just want to run around levels collecting things and thrashing enemies. That said, if you are looking for something that actually does require mental exertion, this game might not be for you. This is a straightforward experience that rewards basic observation skills, and is honestly so easy it comes off as condescending at times. But that's okay. Kirby and the Forgotten Land is a fun, varied platformer that's effortless to get into. It's one of Kirby's most worthwhile adventures yet, and I'm happy to have played it. As long as this series continues to evolve and challenge itself, I'm excited to see just how far it will go. Thank you all so much for watching. If you liked my video, subscribe and check out my Patreon. I'll see you next time.